how do you find account managers who can speak to customers in this way? Because I think most software salespeople are in the business of selling. I mean, they're in the business of selling software.
Yeah.
Unless they work for somebody where actually they're selling hours.
Right.
And they're just selling software. It's like I'm in the business of selling napkins, but you've got to come into my burger restaurant and I'm going to give you 500 napkins because that's the only way I can get rid of napkins.
It's a great question.
I've got to sell burgers, right? So, I mean, how do you build an organizational culture that allows you to sell, that allows you in a way to stop selling and to start listening and to focus on solving the customer problem?
A lot of practice. The young salespeople or the inexperienced salespeople typically don't have enough knowledge to ask the right questions.
Yeah.
And the folks with too much experience.
That's why worksheets like this are helpful because at least they help you to identify,
Mind you.
Like you might have a problem with OTIF variability and maybe I have no idea what that is. But if I can establish that that is a problem, then at least I'm going to find out something about that rather than general problems.
Well, and it helps the experienced salespeople too, because the experienced salespeople have a tendency to not listen anymore because they'll jump to the conclusion that they know the problem they're solving and just start presenting and also not listening. Believe it or not, it happens a lot.
And maybe this says that my experience is a bit sad, but I've often found that younger salespeople are better than more established ones because they are naive and therefore they have to ask more questions.
I think in a lot of cases that's true.
That they can't lean back and say, well, let me tell you how your ball bearing factory should be run.
With the right process around them, yes, especially.
And then what does that mean for customers? Like, do some customers find it hard to, what do you mean you want to help me? There's a trick. What's going on?
I mean,
are they surprised?
Our business, we buy software to run our business occasionally, and it's so difficult to figure out, to make it through the marketing message and figure out what's reality and what's not.
Totally.
And just walking this show, all the booths have the same message.
Yeah.
I happen to know a lot of these software vendors and I know what they can actually do well and what they can't. Yeah. And there's no way you can tell that from the booth.
And I think this is a challenge, isn't it? That if people do everything, then they do nothing. And in fact, if you look at the German companies, right? Production, they're really super specific. We do these 4 things and go elsewhere if you don't do these 4 things.
Yes.
Whereas if you would go to a North American company,
everything.
They're just built for the future.
Yep.
And, I am planning on being in the future, but I mean, that doesn't really help me on understanding where is your sweet spot.
There's a level of depth that's required to really do things well. So they're playing games when they say, I have this feature. They're not lying, but it doesn't have enough depth to really provide the value that the customer wants, which is why we focus on outcomes.
Here, you're not just focused on outcomes, but you're focused on a small number of use cases as well.
Yes.
And I'm sure you've got the best bosses in the world, right? But other people's bosses would say, don't talk about the use cases that are 90% of our business because that leaves 10% walking out the door.
Yeah.
Let's talk about everything because we can solve everything. How do you deal with that top-down pressure? Because that's a real, I find managers often meddle in salespeople's lives.
Well, it's funny. I think my favorite customers are the customers that have tried and failed recently with something else.
Yeah.
Because they have perspective and they understand they can't accomplish everything. And now they can really focus on the 80%. It's the customers that haven't done anything. They're the ones that are tough because they have unrealistic expectations a lot of times. And they don't know how to cut through the noise. And it's developing trust with them so that they trust our experience and really use it to guide them.
If we were at this event 10 years ago, people would be talking about digital transformation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. The problem you've got.
IoT.
Yeah, exactly. And And there would be a kind of rhetoric where, well, the problem you've got is that your factory exists in the real material world, and your factory needs to be in the cloud.
Yes.
And so I'm going to put your factory
Digital
in the cloud.
twin.
I'm going to put your factory in the cloud for you. And obviously that can't happen because factories tend to be material. Yeah. So your ability to, and then the idea that you can just disrupt an organization by transforming all of it straight away, which obviously would take 4 years in which you would go out of business.
Yeah.
Is there a similarly misleading rhetoric around in the industry today, or have we improved as an industry?
I mean, I think the technology is faster to get value out of if you select the right one.
True.
And it's so important to match it up with your process,
Yeah.
right? You asked discrete versus process industry. That's huge. Every single one of these vendors should tell us which one they're better at,
Yeah.
because it makes a big difference.
But I mean, think of what you've just said. I mean, like, compute is so much cheaper than it used to be. Storage is so much cheaper. The AI accelerates everything and makes so many things easier for people to do. Right?
Yep.
We have no excuse for being as bad as we were 10 years ago as an industry, right?
Yeah.
Almost no excuse. It's like, look, when I was asking you to eat your lunch with planks, okay, they're not very good chopsticks. It's going to be very hard for you to do this with planks. You've got to be super motivated and really hungry. And now I've given you chopsticks and a knife and fork. You've got no excuse. And yet, I mean, it wouldn't appear that we're visibly better as an industry than we were 10 years ago.
No, not as much as we should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting thing is, I mean, we're focusing on scheduling. And if you look, some people will say, anytime there's a change in the plant, like my machine stops when I didn't expect it to, I want to change the schedule and adapt.
Yeah.
Well, in a highly automated plant where you have a bunch of robots running around and doing things, you can do that because the robots, if you give them completely new instructions, they can react.
Yeah.
But in a plant full of people, they only have the ability to react to a certain level. And so
Totally.
a good schedule builds in enough planned waste,
Yes.
call it buffering, so that when those unplanned events happen, they can still execute the schedule and still produce what they're supposed to produce that shift or that time period. But it depends on those people's ability to adapt, and it depends on the level of automation. So the best schedule for a plant or a customer depends on those factors. You can't just take what happened in the past and create a schedule based on that. You have to factor in a little bit more than that.
One last question. You've got these very impressive numbers. I'm sure not every customer is going to get all of these, right? I mean, these are representative of where
they're a little aggressive. I think a range is probably a better. Some people will, because it depends how well run the plan is, what they can accomplish.
But I mean, I think if a customer wanted to do any one of these things, it gives them the idea of what could be available with the following wind and everything behind it.
Yes.
A lot of customers would be very, not secretive. A lot of customers wouldn't know. A lot of customers can't answer this question.
No.
And they couldn't share it. And yeah, well, you've got at least one customer that's able to share these numbers, maybe more. How have you created the kind of customer knowledge and trust that makes it possible for them to know what these numbers are and to share them with you?
Oh, we measure them, and we don't take them for granted. We actually measure with them what their real productivity is.
Yeah.
And then we measure it at the beginning of the relationship, and then we measure it over time and look at the progress and guide them through the progress. So we coach them on how to get the results. We don't just give them a system and say, good luck, and leave. It's not just about implementing the system. It's really about changing the way they run the plant.
Totally.
To get the outcome.
Thank you. Is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
I can't think of anything. That was great.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, Duncan. Great to meet you.